Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today I'm exploring transformation, and this has come from, just this week where I've really seen my transformation. Just by seeing really the different way I relate to things that haven't changed, because that is like, what is true transformation? I think that's it, isn't it? When literally nothing around you changes, but your experience of that becomes completely different. And my transformation has been an interesting one. I feel like there's been 3 phases in my post-40 life. I'm not going to go into my entire childhood because that's not really relevant, but in my post-40 life, I mean, the outside in misunderstanding was there before that, but in terms of in the run-up to burnout, I 100%, like most people, thought that my feelings came from the outside world. Not consciously. I didn't go around going, oh yes, my feelings come from the outside world. There wasn't an awareness at all to that level. And perhaps that's part of the problem, isn't it? That we're not aware that we think our feelings come from the outside world. And that led to me trying to control the outside world so that I could feel better than I did. So I could feel better about myself, I think, more than anything. And made me into a control freak, literally. I mean, I'm not mincing my words here. I wanted to control everyone and everything with the unknown, I suppose, desire to feel better. I don't think anybody really knows that. I mean, I'm only really seeing that just now as I'm sharing with you. I don't think there's any conscious outside in misunderstanding. I just think that's how we think it works. It's just like, how we think anything works. That's how we think it works. So we carry on in life with that premise that our feelings come from the outside world, and as a result, we do everything that we do with that in mind. Not in mind, like as in front and center, but just in our way of being, I suppose. And so as a primary school head teacher, which was not the cause, most people I say I was a primary school head teacher, and the first thing they say is, that's a stressful job, isn't it? I fundamentally don't believe that stress comes from the outside world. But the way I behaved, the way I thought, did create burnout. That's what happened. I overdid it, did far too much. I thought far too much. I couldn't sleep as a result. And the result was me on the 31st of March 2015 walking out work and never ever going back. I didn't know I wasn't going to go back when I walked out. There was no conscious decision to leave work. It's just I never felt well enough really to go back. Not well enough at the point at which people wanted me to make a decision about what was going to happen. So after I resigned, I then became a hypnotherapist, and I suppose, went into phase 2. Still really, really in the outside in misunderstanding, but I had discovered self-development. Whoopie-doo. So I was reading a lot of self-development books. A lot of my focus was on motivation, procrastination, and I was reading a lot of books, attending courses, going to little meetups about different kinds of therapy, doing lots of exercise and all sorts of other things to try and feel okay. Still believing that I could get a better feeling from the outside world. But this part was actually more insidious in a way, because I wasn't doing anything that anybody would call unhealthy. I was meditating. It's good for you, isn't it? I was doing a gratitude journal. That professes to be good for us. I was doing affirmations and all sorts of other tools and techniques. But still, that is still living in a misunderstanding. And there were some things about me that seemed to change a bit then, but there was this sense that I needed to maintain that change by deliberately doing things over and over again, by having a very repetitive morning routine that I did every day, but also lots of other therapies to kind of address not feeling how I wanted to feel, really. And then the final phase really is the phase of transformation. And like I said at the beginning, that is this place you reach where the outside world, lots of things in my outside world have stayed exactly the same. The world hasn't changed that much in the last few years, but my relationship with that world is completely and utterly different. It's completely and utterly changed. My relationship with people has changed. My relationship with my business has completely changed. All sorts of things that I didn't realize needed to change. They didn't need to change, but all sorts of things have changed. My relationship with dogs has changed. I mean, that's the most random one, where I definitely would have avoided dogs. I'm sorry, dog lovers. It's nothing personal against your dogs. It's just I had a little bit of a wobble around them, and that just disappeared. One day it just disappeared. One day I was just out for a walk with my daughter, saw a little puppy, bent down, started patting it, and as we walked away, it was her that noticed. She just went, "Mum, you've just touched a dog." And I was like, "Oh, that's a bit weird." And I'd done no work on my relationship with dogs. But once you start to see how the world works, when you start to see how your experience is created, it changes everything. It changes your relationship with everything, because your way of seeing the world changes. The world isn't how you think it is. And that encapsulates it. So when you change your relationship with thoughts and feelings, when you start to understand that your feelings are coming from you and not from the outside world, things just look different. And it is a bit like getting the manual. I often joke and say it's like, if you have got the manual for the washing machine and you are sitting there trying to make the television work, you're going to be sat there a long time. You're going to be frustrated. I have no doubt. You're going to be on edge. You're going to be just, for goodness sake, why is this not doing what I want it to do? And that's the problem with the outside-in misunderstanding, is we've just been given, and nobody's given this. It's not like we're born and given the manual. If we were, that'd be really cool, wouldn't it? 'Cause nobody would need a transformational coach, because we'd all have the manual when we were born, but we're given the wrong manual. We're given the outside-in manual. Here, operate your life from a place of believing that your feelings come from the outside world. Off you go. And then that's what we do. We go into life and we operate our lives with this misunderstanding that our feelings are coming from outside. No wonder there is so much suffering, because that's it. That's the cause of all human suffering. Thinking that your feelings come from the outside world. And the transformation occurs when you realise that they don't. When you realise time and time again you are shown that your feelings don't come from the outside world. They don't come from wine or food or drugs or any of those things that we view unpleasantly. They don't come from other people. They don't come from your work. There is no such thing as a toxic workplace. Other people, bosses, don't care who they are, they do not create your feelings. And that is not a carte blanche to treat people appallingly, by the way. That's not where I'm pointing to. But your feelings also don't come from meditation, and they don't come from yoga, and they don't come from jumping into cold water, and they don't come from affirmations, and they don't come from any of those places. You may not believe this, but you don't need any of those things. You don't. Once you've got the manual, you might still choose to do those things. You might still enjoy them. You might love to still do them, and that's wonderful, but you don't need them to make yourself okay, because your feelings don't come from any of those things. So that's the transformation. That's what transformation is. It's not ticking off one or two things from your list of things that are not okay about you. It's seeing that you are okay. And you just need the right manual to operate psychologically and to understand where your experience is coming from.
Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.